Hare Krishna.
Om Agyanitamirandasya Gyananjanashakaya Chakshurunmukhandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Putale Srimate Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurani Pachani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhaskata Vishatani Vanchakapatani Kripasani Vyacha Chitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namaha. Oh my goodness. My first encounter or my first reciprocating encounter?
As you like.
Well, I guess I can connect the two. My first encounter was in 1978 in Los Angeles. It was the first time I actually saw him. He was a brahmachari. And he was just sitting, in the temple room, not saying anything. And I just noticed him just sitting. And that was my first encounter. Now, some years later, I knew of him, but I hadn't met him personally. And so it was a time when I was having little grihastha problems. And so I had gotten permission from my temple authority to be separated from my husband. And so the temple management had changed, so Bhakti Tirtha Swami had come to the temple. By this time, he had taken sannyas. That was my first interaction with him. So the devotees asked me if I could iron his laundry. And so I was upstairs on the third floor, which was the women's ashram, ironing his laundry, and I sent it down. And then one of the mothers came and said, Bhakti Tirtha Swami want to see you. And I said, why? I had never had to go see a sannyasi before, so I was like, well, why does he want to see me? And she said, I don't know, he just told me to come and get you, he want to see you. I said, well, I'm not going. And she said, no, you have to come. And I said, no, because if I said, did I burn his laundry or did I do something wrong? Like why is he calling me, I'm completely satisfied just doing the service and that's it, So she said, no, you have to come. And I said, if he yells at me, I am going to die. So she convinced me to come downstairs, so I come down. And I go in the office, and he's sitting there, and Rajalila's husband at that time was Kendra. Yeah. And so he was there, and they were in the office, and I came in, and I'm just shaking all over, It's like, so her obeisances, and I got up, and, I was just sitting there, what to expect, So he said, I was talking to your husband, Taliban. And then I was like, well, his name wasn't Taliban at that time, it was Bhakti Tony. And then, immediately, all the nervousness and all the other stuff just went out, and I was like, oh, okay, what is this all about, So then he said, well, he asked me to ask you to take him back. I said, I said, I can't do that. And he said, no, I'll work with him and, this, that, and the other. And he said, I'll make sure he gets initiated. And I said, no. I said, huh? No, you weren't born yet. No, you weren't born yet. So anyway, I only had 2 children at that time. And so he said, I promise you, he'll get initiated. You don't even have to live with him, he said. He said, I'll take him to DC. You remember the restaurant? He said, I'll have him in the restaurant. He said, I'll make sure that, you just come visit once a month and everything will be okay. And I said, Maharaj, I can't do that because, and I had a big long list, and I just went down the list of all the reasons why I couldn't. And he said, no, just do it. I said, no, honey, I'm not doing it. We were fighting. And then finally, he did that famous Bhakti Tirtha smile. And he looked at me and he said, just do it for me. So I said, I was mad that he said that, because how am I going to fight with that? It's like with my husband, I could fight all day. But with Maharaj, he said, do it for me. And I said, I was mad too. I said, I'm not doing it for him. I'm only doing it for you, I said, okay, I'll only do it for you, And so he said, okay, and so everything that he promised me, he fulfilled that promise. He worked with him. I came to visit once a month, the restaurant while he was there. And, he said, I'm going to get him initiated. And so I said, but Mara, she's real tricky. I said, he can fool you. I said, you'll think he's being good, but he's really not being good. I said, he's not going to be following stuff. He said, don't worry. He said, when initiation time comes, I said, I know how to find out when he's telling the truth. He said, if he's not telling the truth, then you let me know, and he won't get initiated. And I said, okay. So time came, we were in Vrindavan, he was getting initiated. And when I was talking to him, he was not being good. And I searched Vrindavan high and low, looking for Bhakti Tirtha Swami to tell him that he was not being honest. I could not find him, like nowhere, until he got initiated. And I said, Maharaj, I was looking for you, but he said, well, Krishna wanted him to get initiated.
What was the question again?
The question was, what was your first encounter like with Maharaj? Or your first time you met him, or the first encounter you had?
It's so long ago. It's interesting. It's just ginger. Om Gyana Taminandasya Gyanadhyaya Shashomanitam Dhyana Tasmai Sri Guruve Maha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapikam Gyanam Bhutana Swayam Rupavedamayam Bhutana Come. Maharaj was, when I first met him, we were all brahmacharis, and I was on Radha Damodar. I think it was Radha. No, I actually met him in Chicago. Yeah, when I was living in the Chicago temple, I met Maharaj there. And he was on the library party. He was on the library party with Satsarup and, Gyansham, a lot of other seniors, Mahabodhi, Mahabodhi, Bodhimanta, and Tirthapad. And
Chewing ginger, not gums.
But Maharaj, his name was Gyansham. He was having problems with the party that he was on. And I remember he reiterated this story to me later on. He said, because he thought he was very advanced. Because he would get up very early, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and start chanting his rounds very loudly. Very loudly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, you can hear him all over. So other Prabhus like, Maharaj, they call him, Gyansham, go outside and chant. You're waking us up. You're disturbing our rest. So he actually told me, he wrote a letter to Prabhupada, because he talked to Satsarup Maharaj then, and Sasru Maharaj told him that, you know, your desire to chant your rounds early and get up, he said you should, because Maharaj's idea was that he should be finished with his rounds before Mangalarti. And you should only sleep, he wanted to sleep only 4 hours. So he wrote Prabhupada and told Prabhupada, and told on them, his godbrothers, how much Maya they were in, because, and on Sunday feasts, Maharaj would only eat a carrot and yogurt. And they would eat halva and subjis, and Maharaj said they're all in Maya. So he wrote this letter to Prabhupada saying, Maharaj, he said, Srila Prabhupada, they're all in Maya, no one wants to get up. They're eating, he said they're eating halva. So he told me Prabhupada wrote him back, Prabhupada blasted him. He told them very specifically, he said, your participation in Krishna consciousness should not be disturbing to anyone. It's the first one. He said, secondly, you should not be falsely austere. And then he asked him, Prabhupada also told me, he said, and what is the matter with halva? Krishna is liking halva so much. He said, but if you prefer to eat your carrot and yogurt, he told me how he was so embarrassed that he was thinking his godbrothers were all in Maya. And that Satsvarup was in Maya for not backing him up. Because Satsvarup Maharaj was a sannyasi, he should have been more staunch. But the lesson that he spoke about was how in our pursuit of devotional service, sometimes we tend to judge others, thinking that we have made so much advancement now. I've gone to so many Mangalartis, I've chanted so many rounds, just see, Haribol, what kind of devotee I am. And that really is not uplifting to anyone. It's not even uplifting for you. Like Maharaj said, we need to upgrade. So he understood very clearly what Prabhupada was teaching and showing him. And so I met him at that point in the Chicago temple, and actually it was such a huge festival. Because all the devotees came from all over the entire East Coast, came from Georgia and Canada. And they brought all the deities from the temples. I've never seen that since, but they brought all the deities from Montreal. They brought the deities from where was the first paper machine? Winnipeg. But even Detroit, they brought the Detroit deities there. So the Chicago temple altar was full of all these deities. It was magnificent. You know, Kishore was there, and we had like 6 sets of Jagannath and 8 sets of Gaurnitais, and then the Radha Damodar devotees came, and then they brought Radha Damodar. Yeah, that was. Mangalarti was 800 devotees plus, and you talking about we didn't do sit down kirtan. That was bhajan. We didn't do. The kirtan was so intense. I remember Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Okay, so we had all these. These are names maybe some of you are familiar with, but Dinanath was there. He was the big kirtan man. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's where that tune came from. And Prabhupada liked that. And when he heard that tune, Prabhupada said, "Oh, very nice. Carry on." Pragosh, what's his name, Maharaj? Book distributor, incarnation of book distribution. Oh, Vice was there, yeah.
Yeah,
Tripurari Maharaj. Tripurari Maharaj's party was there. with so many devotees. And the one thing that strikes me, was that during this one kirtan, and the devotees were, the temple was rocking, and it was so loud that across the street there was a big building being built there, and it was for senior citizens. And so the kirtan was so intense, it woke up everybody in the building. And that's actually where Prabhupada made the statement, because he spoke to the mayor. Prabhupada told the mayor that if you stop slaughtering cows in Chicago, the temperature will automatically, it'll raise 10 degrees. It'll 10 degrees improve higher. It'll improve because Chicago is so cold. And the mayor, you can see the mayor's face like, what? And Prabhupada furthermore, he told me, he says, listen, if you would like to do some service, you can give me that building across the street. So that we can further the activities of Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada was very bold. So, anyway, there's this kirtan, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, man, we're all so skinny then too. Everybody was real thin. The dancing was, it was just beyond. Sweating, dancing, and then there's one devotee, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would dance, kick his feet up, and there was one devotee named Mahabhuti. He had these neck beads on, and he had a bunch, about 9 strands, but they were really tight, So his face was turning beat red, he's playing the carpet house, and Maharaj was standing there, firing him up more and more, and all the way standing around there. And all of a sudden, pow! His beads exploded. And it was like, it kind of stopped everybody for a second. And they said, okay, keep going. So they kept the kirtan going. And Maharaj that was one of the first moments that I met him. But what was most significant to me was when it was time for prasadam. He was always one of the first ones there to serve out. He didn't sit and want to take. He immediately would jump up and he would serve until the last devotee took prasadam. And then he would, and him and Jayadvaita Maharaj. Jayadvaita could eat anything. It was amazing. I mean, listen. All the leftovers, whatever was there, Jayadvaita would eat. And I'm talking sometimes it'd be 4 or 5 days old for shot. Oh, but it's Maha. It's for shot. You smell it and be like, whoa. Whoa, but he would eat it. And him and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would be, like I said, the last servers, and they would just sitting there talking. But Jayadvaita Maharaj was expert. Even at that point, he had memorized practically all the verses in the Bhagavad Gita. So him and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would sit there with each mouthful. Listen, this is probably something no one's really heard before. It was the game. While you took prasad was, you had to quote a verse before you took a mouthful.
Wow.
So however many verses you knew, that's how much prasad you could take. You have to quote the verse first, and then you take it. Yeah. And actually, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, they would be there for a while. But eventually, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would lose because Jayadvaita just had. He said, Maharaj said, Jayadvaita is unfair because he said you have such a big brain. So there's just so many things about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that over the years, because like I said, we were brahmacharis at Chicago Temple and Radha Damodar, and then we were on the traveling party. And then, it's hard to say like what thing was the most significant, the most consistent thing.
No, he was saying in the first one. Because
Yeah.
he asked another question.
Oh, you are? Oh, sorry. I'm going on. Okay.
Yeah. There'll be more questions. Well, you can finish your thought. Okay.
Okay. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Oh, I'm Duma Kesharada from the Detroit Temple. Hare Krishna. And so I'm so honored to be here, and to participate in this program. I am very, very fortunate because I had the opportunity to meet Maharaj in around 1980 in Detroit. And from that moment on, it was just like he kind of had my heart. I kind of really kind of lost touch. I ended up getting initiated. Back then, you had to take initiation from the zone that you were in. And I was in the Detroit zone, and at first Bhakti Tirtha was over that zone. And when he fell down, he fell into the hands of Vishnupad. And I got initiated by Bhavananda Vishnupad in 1980. And soon after that, Maharaj came to the Detroit Temple. And it was just like awesome. I mean, I'm just like totally, he just grabbed that, like you said, that smile, just kind of like grabbed my heart. And I didn't see him again for about another year. And I went down to Vrindavan, and I actually had been talking over the phone with him because I wanted to get married. And we were Lokanath, who was Lonnie Jackson back then, we were like, he made me a devotee, so we were like going behind Bhavananda's back, talking to Maharaj, and somehow when Vishnupad came to the temple, he heard about it and he sent for me. And so he said, oh, so you want to go to Africa with Bhakti Tirtha? He said, if you want to go to Africa, he said, well, why? I said, because I just want to preach to African people. He said, go, you're in Detroit, go stand down on Jefferson. So I was just like, okay, this is going to be another program, And so I ended up, like I said, going down in Vrindavan and I saw Maharaj. I had a chance to talk to him. I was in, went to a room and talked to him, and it was just so amazing because I was sitting there, me and another devotee, waiting for him to come in, and I kid you not, when he came in, it was like every piece of dust in the room just settled down and started smiling. It was just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And he kind of looked at me and I said, I'm Duma Kesha. He said, oh, you're the one that Bhavananda called me about and told me I could have Lokanath but not to touch you. So we kind of like had an ongoing relationship like that, and then I didn't see him again for a number of years because, as you know, he kind of left ISKCON. And I was invited by Radha Sindri to go to D.C. That's where he was at in D.C. So we took, let me go back a little bit. Before then, him and Kendra and the group had come to Detroit. And then we went to, I think the Kendra, anyway, that's another story. So I was in D.C. with him. He had sent for me to come to D.C. to help train up a lot of the Mantajis at that point to dress the deities. I'm Jagannath Pujari. The mercy of dressing Jagannath for 30 years, 30-something years right now, and so it was just amazing. And I was associating with the Kendra in Rajalila, I was associating with Ekadira, and I never forget in Mangarati, I was down, and it was just, I was like stunned because he had one of the Mantajis come up to me and said, tomorrow you and the Kendra are getting married. I went into a space that I didn't even know there was. And I'm like walking around like a dazed person, And I said, Maharaj, and then he flashed that smile. And I just like, okay. So that was another chapter of being there, in D.C. And Kendra and I got a house, and I remember, I was cleaning, and then one morning Bali knocked on the door. Yeah, you remember Bali? Yeah, he knocked on the door. And I'm like standing there with a rag on my hand, with hair, the blue jeans, and just really, because I was cleaning. And I said, oh, Prabhu, I didn't know you were coming, what can I do for you? And he stepped to one side, and Bhakti Tirtha stepped. I was like, oh, hey. And so he said, I just came, he had that smile again, he said, I just came, I wanted to see the house. So I had an opportunity to tour him through the house with my rag, everything on, it was just, he was just such a jewel. He was just such, he could look at you and immediately take you to the spiritual world. It was just like, you would just go, it was like you had no choice, it was like you were in the presence of a personality that you knew Prabhupada had blessed. It was no doubt. And to go back a little bit, when I first went to DC and Mara, and I had a little boy named Dhiro Datta, he was like 4. And Maharaj was leading kirtan and we were in the back. And Dhiro kept running back and forth because he loved Maharaj. Maharaj actually, there's a picture of Dhiro in Maharaj's second book. He's standing up on a cliff looking out. You can't see his face, but you see the back of his head looking out. And so Maharaj was dancing and we were just like into it. And Dhiro he came running back to me and he said, Mama, look what Maharaj gave me. And he had this ring in his hand. And I'm like, take it back, take it back. So Dhiro ran back up there and gave it back to Maharaj. And Maharaj looked at me and he was like, no, that's for you guys. So Dhiro came back and gave me the ring. And so, for a long time, Dhiro had it around his neck. And then I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what? Why is this kid carrying this ring? I should be wearing it. So I took it. I wear the ring, and Dhiro, now every time he sees me, he says, okay, Ma, I said, when I leave my body, you can have the ring back. So I'm eternally blessed. And in 97, I fractured my back in 3 places. I was in a wheelchair, a walker, the whole 9 yards. And Maharaj would call me and, just encourage me and talk to me over and over, about how, this was just a test and to keep on going. And I remember I still had my brace on, and he came down to Detroit, and I was determined to go back on the altar and dress Jagannath. And I went on the altar and I dressed. And when I came off and they opened the curtains, Bhakti Tirtha, after we did the greeting of the deities, Bhakti Tirtha walked over to me and he said, you dress the deities with the brace like that? And I said, yes, Maharaj, your mercy. He said, never leave your service, always dress the deities. This will be my key to be in this temple. And he became GBC of the Detroit temple. So I'm so very fortunate. And so many of you disciples, my God, you are eternally blessed. Because you had in your presence a personality that came from the spiritual world. And I will tell you one little thing, and I'm going to pass it on. About a year before Maharaj left his body, I lived in an apartment upstairs. And in the middle of the night, I always have very vivid dreams. But I had this dream, and there was a chariot outside, and it had all these colors and all these different beings on them, and they were just like unbelievable, And in my dream, I had got up out of my bed and I was standing in the window looking at this, and I was just like, wow, what in the world am I seeing? And then I saw this chariot, it went into a building, and the horses went in, but the back part of it was still out. And it was just colors everywhere. And they came out, and the entities that were in there came out, and they were holding a baby. And I was trying to peek over to see who the baby was. Now I'm dreaming, see who the baby was, and all I could see was just Maharaj's face. And he was down at the temple, so when I finally woke up, I had dressed and I went down to the temple, and I'm running all over the temple trying to find him. And then I stopped and I told him about my dream. And he just looked at me and he just said, Dumarkeshi, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. So, I knew that something was going on, but I didn't know what was going on. And it was about a couple of months later, we found out about the cancer, And so in my heart, I felt that I saw the entities coming from Maharaj, coming to get him to take him back to Godhead. So,
Mataji, that's interesting because when he actually
when he was leaving in Ingita Nagari. Radhanath Maharaj, myself, and Mahamuni were sitting right next to it. And he said, first thing he said, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Sridhar Maharaj. Yes, Sridhar Maharaj, and they had come to him and asked him, said, Prabhupada wants you to come, we have service to do. And he said he wanted to go right then, but because Maharaj kept trying to leave on us. But he said, he kept, and one of the things, that chariot just reminded me of that instance, because he was a little disappointed because he wanted to go, but he didn't say that. Yeah.
He said the chariot is coming.
The chariot is
He
coming.
said
Yeah.
it has 2 seats.
Yeah. So, right.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
said one was for him and one was for Ramnath Swami.
Yeah.
We were like,
Yeah.
no,
No,
way.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so that was just such a wonderful, and I that's in the back of my head. It'll be in the back of my head for the rest as long as I'm in this body on this earth, because I know, and believe me, I don't know how you guys feel, but I remember last year when I was here, you gave me that picture of Maharaj, and it's in my front room. Maharaj walks through my house. He comes in dreams. He'll tell me what to do, what not to do. And I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, Maharaj, just give me a break. But it's just such a wonderful one. I'm so fortunate. I have no clue at all how I even got here. Because I know I'm a rascal. I know. And Maharaj told me once. He said, Dumarkesha, you should be just like me. And I was like, no way. Well, Maharaj, I could never even touch what he's done. I mean, he is. Wow, I can't even go into my heart deep enough to let you know how wonderful he was and how he wanted everyone to taste the nectar of what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and we can't stop. There's no stopping us now, there's no stopping us, we just gotta keep right on going, because Maharaj, hey, he's got our back. He's got our back. So hey, whatever you're going through, on what level or unlevel or D-level you're going through it, hey, know it's pushing you towards the Lord. It's just pushing you towards the Lord, and Maharaj is back there pushing harder, because he knows what's in your heart. He knows each and every one of us, we have our wings. We are all so blessed. And we may not be at the goal, but guess what? We're in the line. We're in the line. We are in the line. So as you go out and you see other living entities, remember, you're in the line, and your duty is to help them also get in the line, because this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. So all glories to you. Thank you.
Haribol, I'm from Lansing, from Detroit Temple. My name is Mohini Devidasi. First time I met Guru Dev, my husband and I were driving in a car. They had a lecture at Howard University. So we went to the first 2, I think. My husband was totally turned on. It was okay. Second lecture, he started talking about outer space people. And I said, okay, my brother who's mentally ill believes in outer space, so I can't have anything to do with him. That was my first. Okay, I guess my name's Krishna Shakti, Krishna from Detroit. It's my mama. So I didn't hear the class, but yeah, the first time I remember Bhakti Tirtha Swami is that he was taking us to the botanical gardens in DC, and I just remember walking around, and later on he told me he was afraid of my brother and I, that we were going to push him in the ponds because we were so mischievous and we didn't like him, we didn't know who he was. All we knew was that he was trying to take our father away in some kind of way. So, just like, okay. But yeah, so that was kind of my first remembrance of him.
Glories to you, glories to Puja, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Well, actually not a direct disciple of Maharaj, but I am a very far away disciple. But I'm also close because my father and my mother, they are first and second initiates of Maharaj. My first encounter, I'd say, was every time the Maharaj would come to Ghana, West Africa, his ecstatic kirtans. Every time. And his wonderful smile, they're always with me. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, you go.
No, what I'm saying, like, I don't have a first memory of Maharaj.
You have to have.
No, I never. Whatever you remember.
What's the first thing you remember?
First memory. We'll number it, you just share it.
How about an early one?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
The first memory might not be the first time you met him, that's just what you remember first.
No, I'm gonna. Yes, yeah. Well, I'm just gonna talk about the last time when we saw him, like right after he got his leg amputated. Like I've known Mars my whole entire life. Like he always says, before you were born. I've known you since before you were born. So I don't have a memory like, oh, I remember Maharaj. No, I've always known Maharaj.
Remember something when you were younger.
Well, I can talk about that. Well, when I first met Krishna Shakti, it was Maharaj was giving his first initiations in DC. Yeah. So Rocky Jai and myself, we were on the trampoline. And we were little, I was like 5 or younger. And me and my sister, we were jumping on trampoline. And Bali was an ice cream man. And he was selling ice cream. We didn't have no money because Mata was over there with Maharaj. And she was too close to where Maharaj was, and we didn't want to disturb the initiation. So I told Bali, I said, "Can I have some ice cream?" He was like, "Okay, I'll give you one." And I kept coming back and getting more ice cream. So Rai Rajab was like, "Where are you getting this ice cream from?" And at the time, her name was Madonna. So I was like, "He gave it to me for free." She said, "You're lying." And then we're jumping on the trampoline. And I said, "I swear to Krishna." Krishna Shakti looked, well, she wasn't Krishna Shakti at the time. But she looked at me, her and Polka, and was like, "What? You believe in that guy like that?" Like, because they did, like you heard, they weren't really feeling Krishna like that at the time. So they couldn't believe that me and my sister had so much faith in Krishna that we would swear to Krishna. Like, what? Y'all believe in him? He ain't God? So we just, so I just remember, like, March was always nice to us. He would always, like, give us stuff and put us on the head. And, he would always ask us how we were doing. He was always loving and kind. Like, he was always loving and kind. So, I mean, he would always greet you with a smile. He was very personal. He would always, okay, I got one more and then I'm going to stop. My mother told me not to answer the phone. Crazy. When I was like a teenager. So I used to watch this one show called 106 in Park. And Maharaj called, I answered, I was like, 106 in Park? And he was like, hello? And he had that kind of voice that was really distinct. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, it's Maharaj. I was like, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was like, hold on, what's that good Mata? And I'll never answer the phone like that ever again.
Hare Krishna. Most cases actually, oh my God, to me around the city, and then I can't check I try as much as possible not to think very deeply in terms of my relationship with Gurudev, because it makes me feel guilt, some guilt in the sense that I've not been able to properly carry out personal instructions that I was given. So because the first time I met him, when I came from school to the temple, 1982, and he just came. He was coming from another city to where I was, and of course I've been hearing much about spiritual masters and reading some of all the books. And when I saw him, immediately I was transfixed. And then I could immediately understand exactly what it means to be a spiritual master, to be a spiritual personality, because his presence did not really make me feel that he's another human personality or something like that, another mundane personality. It was actually very radiant, very effulgent, and in his presence you feel great bliss and satisfaction. So immediately I made up my mind, okay, I'm going to accept him as a spiritual master. That was what came to my mind. I'm going to accept him as a spiritual master. So after some time, eventually, most cases I don't used to be very close to very spiritual people. I used to be very, very apart from them, so as not to commit much offenses and all that. But he was always insisting to bring me very close to him. And eventually he succeeded in bringing me very close to himself, and it was personal. Just like it used to be personal to everyone, most cases. Everyone that comes in contact with him is always personal to them. But in my own case, he was so personal to me and interacted with me such closely that even many devotees were all thinking that he's just like his personal son in that sense. And of course, during his stay preaching in Africa, especially in Nigeria, he passed through all kinds of difficult situations. In most cases, I was always very close to him in such situations and circumstances. And I remember such things, I feel so much pain. And also increases my determination and attachment, knowing that, yes, we will not pass through these things in vain. And makes me become more committed in terms of my obligations, especially to his personal instructions as to what I have to do and what I need to do. I only praying for his mercy so that I'll be able to accomplish the tasks. So, practically speaking, he was an embodiment of mercy and compassion. He knows how to inspire people, to make them bring out their love and their commitment to spirituality. Also, he's very much open in the sense that he was not actually seeing himself as a spiritual or as a religious personality. He was not really seeing himself as a religious personality in the sense that he's not sectarian. He's not trying to confine himself to a particular, a religion, a particular setup, a particular, situation. He tried to, as much as possible, to extend himself so far, to make everyone feel that he is very dear to them. Everyone feels that he's very dear. Even those who are not even devotees, those who are not seated with Krishna consciousness, when he interacts with them, they bring him very close to their life, to their life, because of his intimacy, because of his disposition, of his love and affection, and also let them understand how God actually loves everyone. So his personal interactions help us so much to understand that, yes, we can become Krishna conscious. In that sense, can become Krishna conscious, because sometimes it's difficult to understand that. But when you interact with him, you can see the practical aspect by his personal influence, how you can actually, participate in this process of devotional service. Despite how fallen we are, as we are, was able to tolerate all kinds of difficult situations and circumstances. And he himself tells us time with that number that he will do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to really help us to come up on our spiritual life. Whatever it takes, he's going to help us. Because it is difficult to find people who will come to our part of the world to actually preach Krishna consciousness. So he dedicated himself to take whatever austerity, whatever difficulties that are there, to make sure that at least we benefited part of the devotional service. So we really are so much indebted to him, and we pray that he will give us more of his mercy to be able to liquidate this indebtedness and be able to at least make him smile at least once. So that's our prayers, and we also pray that devotees should give us the blessings so that we should be able to do that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Tirtha Swami. It's really sad that when great personality come into the midst of common man, you don't really realize who that person is until he leaves. That's very sad. If all of us knew who he was, as we are speaking about him today, I believe that our attachment to him and the level of our devotion to him will not be the same as we have today. But right now he's gone physically. But like Mataji rightly said, he's always around. He's always around to most of his disciples and friends. He's even more active to some of us than before when he was physically here. Gurudev is actually a person that was like a magnet, that any metal that goes close to that magnet will stick. And so he was like that. Whenever he comes to Ghana, of course my first encounter with him was 1984, when he came to Ghana with Ketananda Maharaj, and the devotees went to the airport to bring him to the temple. And at the airport, when they came out, about 20 devotees doing kirtan waiting for them. So we all offered obeisances, and the whole airport offered obeisances. Everyone offered obeisances. They didn't know what was going on, so they offered obeisances. And so we brought him to the temple, himself and Ketananda Maharaj. And there was a very, very powerful, tumultuous kirtan. The whole temple was full, practically no space to put your feet. And at a point, he walked out the temple room, and the temple there had a big yard, and so the kirtan kept going on. And at a point, I saw him on the Nizam van There was a van like that. He climbed the van and he was on top of the van, chanting and dancing on top of the van. Wow, who is this? And so the kirtan went on like that for about 2 hours. And it was sweating, the whole, it was so wet. And so there was no preaching that night. So the next morning was a Bhagavatam class and he gave Bhagavatam class. So that time I've come from Divine Light Mission in Guru Maharaji, and we were told how to meditate. And so that was my daily practice. I was always in meditation. And so as I was sitting in the temple room, I was praying within, and he could understand what I was doing. And so he said, among you guys here is one person among you praying and praying and still praying and still praying. And I knew he was talking about me. At that time, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That was my prayer. I saw it. And I was so shocked. So wow. So after the class, we went out on Sankirtan. And the evening when I came from Sankirtan, he sent for me. He sent Ramanuja. He said, devotee called Ramanuja. Go and call that boy, Dr. Usu. That time I was around 20 years. I was 19 years, between 19 and 20. He called me and then he told Ram showed him how to massage. So Ram showed me how to massage. So there was a mosquito net. So he pushed me inside the net and Ram left. So, and I was shaking like this. Because those of you who know Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you go close to him and you don't feel anything. That means you are something. You must feel that energy. He was such a powerful personality. Very, very powerful. In fact, when he's sitting somewhere and you go like 10, 20 feet, you can feel that energy. So the whole area is such charged with that personality. So I'm very grateful that by Krishna's mercy, by his own mercy, that he has drawn me to him, and but by his mercy, I'm trying to chant Hare Krishna. And so a day like this is a very, very sad day to me. I wish he's still around physically for me to serve him the way I used to. So whenever he comes to Ghana, I was happy to be his personal servant. So I always wash his clothes and iron the clothes, clean the room, and put him to bed beside him. That was my service. And I wish he was still here for me to do that. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj ki.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, as some of you may not have noticed, some of you definitely noticed, Maharaj is wanting us to, he was present giving some message. So what I would like to do is just ask one more question. I just had a few questions anyway, but just one more question, maybe like some 2 minutes, if you can. We'll go through it and then we'll do kirtan, because I think that's what we're being asked to do now. So the question, what message have you received through his preaching, be it his lectures or his life? What consistent message do you think that touched you? Because obviously we all hear the same lecture and get something different. So what message do you think you have?
Now, how about you ask a couple people that question, and then the other ask, so you can ask more of the questions you have. So just ask that specific question to a couple people, and then the next question you have to a couple other people. So you can
Okay, so ask, okay. So, who do we want? Ravi Jai?
No,
Okay, so in the general case, what message do you think Maharaj is giving to you personally through his classes, through his life?
To never stop. Just to, never, never, never quit. Never give up. Never forget that, my mission here is to help Maharaj complete his mission, and just never stop. Never stop loving. Never stop giving praises. Never stop preaching. And again, never stop loving.
All right. Thank you. So this reminds me, there's a few things I want to share, but I won't get into the story maybe another time. But one of the memories that I heard about Maharaj was that when he was younger, he would go and when devotees used to have where you can wash your feet, he would go and he would clean the shoes and take care of all of that. And he was always just doing some menial service behind the scenes. He was very greedy for a spiritual life. And he also got to go to see Lord Jagannath in the Jagannath Puri temple. So you said never stop. Just a lot of these things that I wanted to share are coming through that. So thank you so much. Krishna Shakti. Since we heard the first part pushing into the water.
Oh,
so
yeah, definitely just be greedy for the mercy. I just remember, when actually Jagannath did come for, during the last days, and he looked specifically at me. He's like, be greedy for the mercy, but don't step on anybody's toes. So, make sure you're enthusiastic and constantly give your heart. And the whole thing is also just stay alive, because there's so many times where we're going to be tested constantly. And the whole thing is just stay alive, and just the reciprocation that he's done or given over time, knowingly and unknowingly. There's been a couple people that have passed away, and just seeing Radha Raman, I was there, when he passed away, he always said that, at the time of death, you need to, whoever you're serving with in your temples or whoever you're friends with in the devotee community, you never know, they may be the ones to leave that you leave your body with. So, literally, just seeing just the different manifestations and how we're connected in different ways, you just never know. And just at different times, even Jagat Pati, when he came back, he left his body and came back only for 3 days. And one of those days he was talking to me for hours and took us to Gita Nagari. So it's just Bhakti Tirtha Swami is totally present.
Tell him about that past time you shared with us.
Which one? About him and Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, just
Krishna and Rama.
Yeah. So Jagapati came back and he was just saying he had visions or saw Krishna and Balaram beating Krishna and just the Gopas playing with each other. And so in his car, he actually had a picture of them. He's that's real. He was just it's alive, it's everything. And his life was very, very real. He went through a lot of different things. And he saw Gurudev there, also. So it's just everything that he's saying is real. And just even thinking about the last pastimes when we were there, Gurudev was just showing how it's all real. Everything's alive depending on how you connect with it and how you just try to keep it alive and just nurture that. But don't quit. And please pray for me.
Okay, so the next question, this is for whoever has had this service. Did you cook for Maharaj? And what was his favorite dish that you would make? What was the favorite dish that you would make? Or the favorite dish that you know of?
I don't qualify for that.
Hare Krishna. Fortunately, the saying that says Srila Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world could live peacefully. I remember I used to wonder where my room was. I used to say, well, where do I fit in? I did so many different services, in the beginning. And then finally, somehow I was able to go in the kitchen. And not that I knew how to cook, because I really didn't. I was just sent in there and told that you have to be on time. And I didn't have a clue of what to do, so I was in there crying. I was like, Krishna, I don't know what I'm doing, but you gotta help me, So I had like the first Hare Krishna cookbook, that one. And so I was just in there, doing my best, praying, sincerely, because I didn't really know how to cook Vedic style cooking, so. But over the years, I did get many opportunities to cook for Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And some of his, I can't tell you all of his favorite dishes, because there were many. But
What's your favorite one that you would cook?
well,
Barbecue curd.
one time I made barbecued curd.
Medicine?
Huh?
You made
No,
the
that's
medicine?
No,
That's
that's
all.
gluten. Yeah, that's
Oh,
Lucretia's
okay.
specialty in medicine. But I made barbecued curd for him one time, and I made some curd, and because I was just, even though I was cooking Vedic style, but then I was reverting back to my childhood and thinking, okay, well, maybe I could try to make something that tastes like barbecue, And at that time we didn't have gluten in our midst, so it was just curd, Not even tofu. We wasn't using tofu then. So I made my, huh? I don't remember. You might have been using gluten and stuff like that, but I didn't know about gluten until Ernest saw it.
Locomondo.
Oh, really?
He was the actor in Locomondo.
Yeah.
He was the first one to make, he made barbecue, and he used peanut butter and gluten,
Oh, okay.
and he made it, and the entire temple went crazy.
Yeah,
And that was on 55th Street.
oh, okay. Well, see, I didn't get it
70.
until,
That was 70.
we didn't have that
We had
in
peanut butter
Cleveland.
gluten.
We had it, or just what made it for us, and that's how we started getting into gluten.
That's
but-
where he got it from.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Locomondo, somehow or other, he came up with this thing, made it, and everybody flipped out. So we thought we'd never eat barbecue again in our lives. So the whole temple, he was cooking day and night because there was like 300 devotees.
Yeah.
With
But-
peanut butter in it.
Yeah, but anyway, at that time, I didn't know anything about gluten, so I just made barbecued curd, and then Maharaj really loved sweets. So whenever you made anything, you always had to have dessert. I would make a dessert anyway, but he always wanted his dessert first. He would eat his dessert first. But, he loved sweets. I remember during his disappearing pastimes, before it got, closer to the end. One time I was up at the institute, and I had made a coconut cream pie. Oh my God. So Maharaj came out of the room, because usually after Maharaj would get some, then all the devotees would come for the Maha. So Maharaj came out of the room and said, could you put that pie up for me for later? So, I saved the pie, but he just liked, so many things. But those are, sweets, all kinds of sweets. But, serving Maharaj and the devotees actually helped, especially myself, it helped to increase my list of learning how to cook, because I would cook in order to please the devotees, and so that actually increased my volume of cooking and the diversity of the kind of cooking that I did. So, yeah, Krishna Pandit, he's one of the Maharatis of cooking, so. Did you cook for Maharaj?
Yes.
Yeah.
What you make?
Well, see, I remember, because we were, we keep going back to the 55th Street Temple, because there were 400 devotees, 480 devotees, pretty much all the time. Wow, so the Harinam's there, boy. Oof, down on Broadway. We would act up Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. People would just be astounded. But anyway, I remember we were cooking. It was barbecue first, and then pizza. There was a devotee named Prana who was there. He was from the St. Louis Temple, and so he and I would be down there just speculating like anything. Like, you know, we'd make different pizzas to see what would come out the best. So I remember Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj came in. He was still Ganchan. Yeah. And you see, it's funny you say he likes sweets because remember he thought all the other devotees were Maya because they were eating sweets at home. So we were making these pizzas, and so we had devotees who were the testers. You know, we'd offer them up and see what you think of that one. So what happened is downstairs in the basement, it was a huge kitchen, huge. That kitchen was probably big, it was twice the size of the temple, maybe 3 times, huge. So we would cook, and right outside the kitchen, because then, you know, there was a standard. You know, you couldn't go unless you were just bathed, dhoti, and kurta only, or you could have yogi pants and kurta, but you couldn't come in to the kitchen. And we had some,
Not just that.
and we had, well, yeah, you had to be, well, the people came in to cut vegetables and wash, because we had an area where you could come in. Just to come in there, though, you had to be that clean, that pucker. No, cooking was a whole other thing. If you weren't second mission, forget about it.
You had to do a whole program and be clean just to go wash your pots and other.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, you want to wash your pots in our temple, you better be completely showered, clean.
Clean clothes.
No, everything. Yeah. And then we found that you could wear silk, raw silk. Raw silk meant that you didn't have to wash it. It was the thing going around. So different devotees, you know, they didn't wash. Oh, I got on silk, so I'm not gonna. And Vishnu Gadan, he's real serious. What is this nonsense? You and your silk, get out of my kitchen. He said, this is Radha Govinda's kitchen. So anyway, outside the kitchen was a big hallway. And there's one area in front of the storage area, we call it the pit. So Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and Ganshyam and a lot of devotees came because they heard there was pizza taste testing down there. Pizza taste testing. So he came, and we would bring out, we would have eggplant, fried eggplant, pizza, this kind of, we would have like all these different types. And Prana would stay up all night making the sauce. I mean, he would actually cook it slow, cooking tomato sauce, hours and hours and hours, till it was thick, but it was crazy because he put all these spices. He put ajwain. That's not Italian, you know. He put ajwain and all these different Indian spices in. But the pizza, it became such a famous event that when devotees would come traveling they come in from Europe or wherever, they wanted to go to the pizza pit. They wanted to be. Do you guys need taste it? So I remember Maharaj, that was one of the moments of him taking the pizza. And his response, I remember he said, you know, isn't it amazing? Krishna is empowering us. The things that we thought we lost, we're getting them all back. Because a lot of devotees in the beginning was like that. You know, no more 7-Up, no more this, that, until Prabhupada, it was on the street corner. It was in New York. They were looking at a building, and Prabhupada said he was thirsty. Remember that? Srila Kirti. He was telling us he was there when Prabhupada did this. He said, Prabhupada said, give me something to drink. He said, Prabhupada, something lemon and lime, So he ran into the store and bought 7-Up. So he brought it back to Prabhupada. He popped the top and gave it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, very artistically. they heard that. The ladies heard that. There were 7-Up cans everywhere. Probably, they were bringing it in by the case. Robert said 7-Up is bona fide. So they be bringing in cases and cases. Until it got to the point that we were so crazy because there were cans everywhere. So the problem is no, it is not that. Every once in a while, some little stuff. He said it was like limca. It reminded him of limcas. Yeah. But Srila Kirti said that it was a hot day in New York, and Prabhupada was standing. He had his arm on a
meter?
Meter, coin meter, and with his cheddar over, real pucker, and drank it. He said it was the perfect commercial for Saturday. Anyway.
They didn't tell the story about one day when Marge had just got his leg amputated, and Prakash said we should just go see Marge. Like today, we're gonna go see Marge. Like spontaneously, we all, Ravi, I, myself, Mata, Prakash, and who else was that? Krishna was a baby. So we went to Mother Papa's house, and we went to see Marge. Marge didn't know he was coming, so Prakash called him. Like we was like maybe 30 minutes away. And he said, we're going to come cook for you. And he was like, well, can you cook regular stuff? Because he was on a diet. He was on a diet. And so, because he knew that they were going to come and cook for him, he was like, he wanted some barbecue curd. And he wanted some sugar in it. He wanted regular prashadam. And they threw, Marge was so happy that Mata and Prakash came and cooked for him. They made, I don't know, did you guys follow the diet?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
His diet was whatever he wanted.
You're right. Because he knew we were there, I remember he said, look, whatever they cook, that'll be my prashad.
Yeah.
So we did make barbecue.
Yeah,
we make
some of that barbecue cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to hear one more from Mohini and Rasalila. I know you get to share much, so I want to ask you if you can share just anything you want to share, any memory.
Okay. I cooked in the Detroit temple for 11 years. And the last year I was told, you really can't cook Indian food. I said, okay. But the memory I have with Gurudev, kind of like a father, it was first time in DC. My husband and I made potato salad. We were macrobiotic, we didn't do any spices. It was very basic. And they said he ate 2 bowlfuls. I'm like, okay. And then he came down to the kitchen. He said that was very healthy. I'll take it as a compliment. And then one other time, I was not cooking for Gurudev. It was for the, devotees, because I knew he was on a diet. And this was, box noodles, box cheese, and I put bacon in it. And he took 1 little cup, and he actually stayed an extra half hour to talk about Muhammad Ali, so we could get some more of that. I just remember something like for New Year's one year, we were Chandamali Swami and Bhakti Tirtha Swami. I don't know why we were all there, but I just remember him like drinking like the what is it? Like the Welch's but with fizz. So it was like champagne, and they were both like acting like they yes, sparkling grape, and so they were just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's in this, but I feel like it's just they were just like giddy and just like telling pastimes, and it was
Hare Krishna. So my thing I remember about Maharaj was the year 2010. I just graduated from high school, and they started. It's like it's time that I need to get to Krishna consciousness. getting initiated, and then I said, I want to improve to get initiated too. So I remember one night, I attended a couple rounds, listened to a couple lectures about Remembrance of Swami, and then before going to bed, I prayed and I was just so upset. Like, Maharaj, like, this is so not fair, that I did not get the opportunity to serve you. Now I know who you are. Like, how is this so fair for others to serve you, but not me? So, that night I had a dream, and Bhakti Tirtha Swami came in the dream and he said, I want to show you something so you know that I'm always here with you. There was a gathering, a couple of devotees were there, and then I said, I want to speak so you know that I've not left you, and that I'm always here. So when I see Brother Swami, I know that that's what Tirtha Swami also. And I may have missed out when I was a little girl, just being a rascal. I'm still a rascal. Just jumping around. But now I have the opportunity to at least attempt to serve properly. And Maharaj, he said that I may be leaving physically, but I'll be more present than ever. That was his prayer to Srila Prabhupada, so I can serve more. Every single time Maharaj would make this prayer that whatever that's needed, whatever that needs to come into our life to make advancement, let it come. Whatever that needs to be taken away, let it be taken away. It doesn't matter, he said. In that lecture, I beg all of you to listen because it's that deep. When the Krishna Shakti was just saying that she was there for that, and it's powerful.
It's called protective Prabhupada.
So I'm begging all of you to kindly have mercy upon me to be able to serve right now, Swami Maharaj, because in doing so, I could at least think that in this lifetime of having that opportunity to serve the great personality, this one is Bhakti Tirtha Swami, because he's not an ordinary personality. In his childhood, whenever he would begin to talk about something mundane, he couldn't talk. He would stutter, he just couldn't. But the moment that he began to talk about Krishna consciousness, the moment he began to talk about God, he would go on and on, no stuttering. So if I'm able to serve through all of you, through Radhanath Swami, then I'll know that I did not miss out after all. Thank you.
This is just kind of skipping around, but like as she was speaking, there are certain things that came to my mind while we were there. Maharaj asked us to come to Gitanagari. So we were there 3 months, 4 months? 3 months. There was one period where Radhanath Maharaj and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, they would be alone in the room at night, like late in the evening, us Maharajas. And Maharaj got really sick, and I think there was some urine in his blood. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Blood in his urine, yeah. And then there was a very mystical exchange between Radhanath Maharaj and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj at the time. And the next night, or the same night, Radhanath Maharaj went to his room and quarters, and he got up in the morning, and I remember he came to me and said, Krish, he said, me and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj were sharing too much. I said, what do you mean? He said, I passed water and blood was in my urine also. And the connection was that intense that he started experiencing symptoms. And then it was so powerful because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he was very mystical also. He had a very powerful mystical side to him. So there's one devotee named Maha-Muni over and if you know Maha-Muni, he's a real jokester, big, but he's real serious, proud, but you know. So he was Radhath Maharaj, that was when he got the curd, right? She made some soul food for Shada, right? So Radhath Maharaj ate a little something, but he saw Maha-Muni was late. He said, "Maha-Muni, you eat it." Maha-Muni says, "No." And then Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, "No, Muni, you should eat that prasad." And he said something to Maharaj.
Well, you know, earlier Maha-Muni used to get on like.
Oh yeah. Earlier,
early years.
Yeah, when Maha-Muni was like the temple commander, he would get on Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you know, Ganeshan. He would get on his case real heavy, you know, get up. So Maharaj told him, he said, "I remember how you used to treat me." he said, yeah. And he said, "I wanted to punch you in the face." As a rubber church. Okay, so. But later that night, Maha-Muni gets the prasadam that Nihotra cooked, and he ate it very late. And when he woke up in the morning, his whole face was swollen. The jaw. He got up and said, "Man," he said, "Look." His face was like this. He said, "Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, she put some Hare Krishna mojo on me." And he said he hit me in the jaw. Transcendentally hit me in the jaw. My whole face. But that really happened. So many little things like that happened during that period. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was a very special soul, very different.
I just have a request from Rasa Leela's talk, but I would request Govinda to share the pastime before Rasa Leela was born.
Yes.
And how Maharaj, you know.
Yes. Put the mic close.
Yeah, by Tirtha Maharaj, he showed us so many things for us to actually believe in and to believe what he's teaching us, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I remember one time I was having this eye problem. My eyes were so red, and I've taken all kinds of drops. It will not go. And so he came around that time to Ghana, and as usual, I was cleaning his ashram. And he has come to his room from Bhagavatam class, and then he said, "Govinda, I've also been saying Govinda." So I said, "Gurudev." So he looked at my eye and said, "What's happening to your eye?" Look at the eye, it will be okay. That's it. So the next morning, the eye, whatever, was gone. Still have my white, clear eyes. That was one of the things he showed me. And in 1985, Kirtana Maharaj was giving initiation. And I was thinking I should take initiation from him. That time, Maharaj was a sannyasi. But they did not give me the initiation that time. So I was kind of worried. I said, how? And I was a very serious Sankirtan book distributor. So I decided that day I'm not going out. Yeah, so I'm not going out. And so in the Baptist ashram I was sleeping. And Bhakti Maharaj came into my dream. And he said, what are you doing here? You're going out today? And he first came, as I know him, that same form. And as he was talking to me, his body started expanding and expanding and expanding. Giant, I can't even see his face. And so I was afraid. And so, I wake up. Oh, sorry, before then, he told me to go on Sankirtan, and he showed me a particular spot, particular place in Accra to go that day. And so I was still lying there, and so he started expanding and expanding, and I was afraid, and then I woke up. And immediately I picked my Sankirtan bag, shower, picked my Sankirtan bag off from Sankirtan. And all the books that I carried with me that day, I finished them all that day. The same place he showed me. And more often you ask me, do you see me in your dreams? I say, yeah, Maharaj. What do you see me doing? And so, most of the time I see him preaching in a very big crowd, like thousands, millions of people, he will be preaching. And sometimes I see him in a valley, like there's a mountain here, and there's a flat land, and so many people left and right, and he'll be preaching powerfully. And so I tell him that sometimes I see you circumambulating, leading kirtans, and then also, I'm going too far. Anyway, I will leave that side. Okay. And so, Rasalila, myself and Sunita, we've been around for like 3 years or so, and so nothing was happening. So Sunita, we went to a village. We have a farm community, and Gurudev was with us. And so Sunita was pushing me, let's go and see Gurudev. So, for what? Let's go and tell him our problem. I said, no, you can't carry problem like that to me. It's not for that. Don't go and disturb him. Sunita will not understand me. You can keep pushing and pushing. I said, okay, let's go. So we went, and Srila Prabhupada is the regional secretary, and he's always with Gurudev. So we knocked the door, and Sriva's opinion and Gurudev saw. I said, okay, give a minute. And so he asked Srila Prabhupada to leave. And so Prabhupada Srivas left, but he was still standing by the door. So he went in, and Gurudev tried to see whether Srivas is still there. And Srivas was there. He closed the door. He closed it properly so that Srivas would not hear anything. It's amazing. And so Sunita, she started speaking, telling Gurudev her problem. And Gurudev said, don't worry. Krishna is doing for even the karmis. Huh? Why not you, the devotees? Just go. Krishna will do it. And that's it. So he went, and before he went for 6 months. So 7 months later he came back. Actually, 3 months later. 3 months later he came back. And then till that time something happened for some GBC problem. And so he decided not to stay and participate in that. So he flew to Nigeria, and from Nigeria to Ghana. So in Trim, and then we had this program, interfaith program. Big gathering, and Sunita has taken seat for 3 months. And nobody knew about it. And after the program, the interfaith program, he also had an initiation ceremony right there. So she said 1 month? Was even 1 month. So as I was taking my Brahmin initiation, Gurudev started talking about me, talking about so many things, and now he said, now his wife is pregnant. And so the mothers around, and they started teasing Sunita, hey, you're hiding, And so he said, you know, talking so many things about devotees' children. He said she will be so bright and intelligent, and she will be one of the leaders in the future. So like that. There are many more things, and you know, Rasalila, when she started crawling, like she knew Gurudev before. Now she said her first interaction, but I would say no. I would say that wasn't the first interaction. The first interaction was when she started crawling. Whenever Gurudev is giving lecture, she will crawl, she will cry and crawl till to go and, you know, and see Gurudev in his asana like this, and we're looking at his face. And Gurudev will stop talking and just watching her. And say, okay, carry her for me. Then he will put her on his lap and look at her face and said, you've been looking for me for so long. Now you see me, are you satisfied? And Ras will still be there. We're looking at Gurudev like this, she will not get down. And so Gurudev will take his gallant and gallant hair. Are you satisfied? Now Ras will get down and crawl back. And every morning Ras will do that. And every time she does that, Gurudev will carry her. And she always, you know, he carried that Shimadev stick, he would not, you know, that stick would tap on his head. And Gurudev showed us so many wonderful things in Africa. So many wonderful things.
I'm still waiting.
Yes, so many wonderful things. But sometimes, you know, you don't want to bring things up, you know. Sometimes we keep things. These are our armor. Yeah. But generally, we are all blessed, you know. There's one thing, you know, he's a person who listens to prayers. Actually, about a week ago, less than a week ago, I was looking for a particular job, and it was so tough. You know, people were playing politics here and there. So I went to him and said, Gurudev, please, I need your intervention in this case. The next morning, I gave my approval. So, and he said, whenever you have a difficulty, just write him a letter. And then you'll be wondering how. Say, write a letter, put it in front of my asana, and I will answer you. So try it. Yes. Hare Krishna.
You know, one of the things that that's consistent with all the devotees is, you know, Maharaj was not just seen as a special person or soul by us. He was seen that way by Srila Prabhupada himself. When Prabhupada was leaving his body in 1977 in Vrindavan in Prabhupada's room, we were sitting there, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had been in Russia or one of the communist countries. He'd actually gone on a whole tour of distributing books in communist countries. At that time, it was like death. You know, you get caught, devotees were being killed in Europe for distributing books. So, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had this program. He said it was kind of like being 007. You know, he would put on these disguises, get on the plane, or get on the train, distribute the books, go to the next train, change his clothes again. You know, he just kept doing that. I said, well, Maharaj, how did you hide the fact that this is all white? You're the darkest, so dark. How could you hide it? He said, it was Krishna's arrangement. He said they couldn't see me. So while we were in the room, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had just come back from Europe, and it was Onayana Biram. He said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, your son has just returned from Europe. And Prabhupada said, who is that? He said, Ganeshan. He said, tell him to come. He came in the room and he fell at Prabhupada's bed, just crying. And Prabhupada looked at him and rubbed his head. He said, This is true love. This is a son. Because he has taken so much difficulty on my behalf to distribute these books in such a dangerous situation. He said, I am eternally indebted to him. Prabhupada said it about his disciple, just to show how wonderful a servant Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Prabhupada recognized like that. And then the last thing was, when Prabhupada, he said his foot was hurting. He said, and Gansham came in, Prabhupada held his foot out. Can you fix this? Maharaj was like, can I fix it? He was totally bewildered. Prabhupada said, can you fix this? So he immediately his reaction was he just grabbed Prabhupada's foot and put it on his head. Like that. And Prabhupada said, now you've learned. So there was a very unique, intimate relationship like that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had with Maharaj.
The one part you didn't add was that Srila Prabhupada said that Bhakti Tirtha Swami would see Krishna in this life.
Yeah, he said that. And just to, all these things, confirmations. There was one morning Radhanath Maharaj came. We were in front of the kitchen, in the parking lot by the temple. And Maharaj looked very sober, like really, really, really heavy. He was just standing by his van, just standing there. And generally when I saw him, we always had some joking and something. And then, but he was very, very sober. He said, I have to tell you something. He said, this is only between you and I. Don't tell anyone else. I'm telling you all now, but I go. Maharaj said, there was a moment where Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj actually touched him. And Radhanath Maharaj, if you see this tape, sorry, Haribo. He said that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj revealed his Siddha Pranali to him. And that he was a servant of the cowherd boys. And then, as I'm telling you, and actually the Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj started shaking. He said, and then he revealed to me what my situation was. And yeah, I'm not going to tell that part. But Maharaj was so shaken. And then when Radhanath Maharaj grabbed my arm, I could feel like something very, very powerful going through the body. So I knew what he had experienced. And then a very powerful sense of like devotional pride. I was thinking, but these are my God brothers. These are my God brothers. These are Srila Prabhupada's disciples. These are my God brothers who have shown that by following the footsteps of His Divine Grace, Ace Bhakti Tirtha Swami, you will go back to Godhead. Even no matter how fallen, whatever problems, don't worry. Just keep chanting Hare Krishna. And, and again, it's very simple. When Prabhupada was walking out of the temple in LA, true to your service in the Sankirtan movement, he said, and you will go back to Godhead. And he said, and at the time of death, I will personally be there, begging Krishna to take you back into Godhead, back to Godhead. So, Prabhupada saying that, and acknowledging the different disciples around him, like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and the service that they've done. Again, we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg of all the services, man. We call Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. The service that he's done is really, we can sit here night after night for a couple of years and talk, and you'll find, because one of the wonderful things about what's like devotional topics is that no matter how you chew it, you always keep getting a little sweet out of it, you know? And it gets a little sweeter and sweeter. You know, you always get some nectar out of it. And that's one of the things, because as you, and it happens to all of us, as you sit here and you think about Maharaj and the things, there's always something else. You know, oh yeah, and I remember, oh yeah, and oh yeah. And each thing that you remember about him it creates an enthusiasm in your heart. It actually makes you feel uplifted. That's the potency of a pure devotee. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj ki